Alright, this is part 2 of my Book of Dungeons adventure, Let's Kill Drizzt Do'urden, adventure recap. The party finished off last time in the bottom or the top of the Wizard's Tower, depending on which way you think gravity works at the time. They had just released the spirit of the wizard, and his body was made flesh from the stone statue. They continued back out of the tower and into the main compound. They moved east into the Drow Quarter to explore that before heading north to the inevitable conflict with the Azurs to stop the wedding. They moved across the compound, no problem. Found the Drow Quarter. Were able to move right past a cleverly hidden secret door, down a hallway of rubble into an area that turned and had a small crawl space, which Derek bravely squeezed into. He discovered, after moving 4 or 5 spaces in, that it was the lair of a large carrion crawler who was not happy to be disturbed. After he heroically crawled backwards 4 or 5 squares, the party was able to defeat it. And within the lair, they discovered, among other things, some diary pages and what looks like the skeletal remains of a Medusa lord, something hinted at in the wizard's diary, and possibly a clue as to what was going on. Just further on from that, they found a very simple, ridiculous pit trap, which I think triggered. And I had a lot of fun for many rounds, knocking you backwards back into it with another trap down the hallway. Set up to look like a stone play stage, but really it was just meant to spew fiery force balls at you, moving you, pushing you 2 squares back into the pit, and setting you on fire and pummeling you, sort of generally in a nasty trap-like way. But you did eventually figure out where the activation plates were. Although you didn't disarm the trap, you were able to get past it. A few more rooms were searched. That took a long time. There wasn't a lot of treasure to be found, although I believe Hefbrog discovered a bronze crown, which he assumed would grant him the magical power to be the ruler of whatever he stated after he put it on. With the imagination that can only be displayed by someone who plays a half-elf boy rogue named Hefbrog, he stated that he wished to be the king of everything. It was not magical, and sadly that did not happen. Everyone managed to stick to the top or right wall, which means my gas trap didn't even go off, much to my disappointment. And a kitchen was discovered after refilling the bag of holding that the monk usually carries around, filled with kitchen implements, which had been emptied out in the previous adventure. Thank you. You discovered that room was fairly defensible and it would be a good place to take an extended rest. You still had a lot of time before the wedding, and so there was time for you to set out for some sleep. But before you did that, you decided to open one more door, and behind that was the charismatic rebel guerrilla leader, Drizzt Do'urden. Although in Duergar form, which you did not expect and did not understand. Talking to him about the fact that he was not in fact Drizzt Do'urden made him very upset and made his men very confused. And so he challenged one of you to honorable combat to the death to settle it once and for all. Derek's blade singer slash sword blade, song blade, basically blade singer, was chosen, and they had a nice back and forth, although he was an elite monster with a magical item, and frankly you should never have been going one-on-one with him in any stretch of the imagination, and you were put down by him. Luckily, the party decided that they were not an honorable crew, and as soon as that happened, you just basically took your weapons out and killed everyone in the room. Which contained a large portal, which you discovered was basically connected to Menzoberranzan. You decided not to go through, which I think is smart. Although the room was not fully searched, so there may be some other things for you to find in there. And that is where we ended. So, you are in the major drow chamber, which has been abandoned for 200 years and then rediscovered by these Duergar rebels. You wipe them out in a fairly dishonorable way, I think. And you're ready to explore the room and then continue on. And that is the end of part 2.